Okay, guys, here's part 2. Sorry, I didn't mean to be so long-winded about that, but I have a lot to say. So, what was I saying? Trauma. Oh, right, rejection. Okay, so, like, I think that what happened is that I viewed it as, a big rejection and an abandonment and, like, trauma, which it was. Not like I viewed it like trauma, it just was trauma, but, like, so then I had this fear of abandonment all the time because I think that's how I saw that first original event, the original adoption. And that kind of like sets the stage for everything. And it also depends on, I think, what you were exposed to before you were born. But, and like the in my case, birth mothers, stress levels and stuff like that. But then everything that happens after that could be seen as a rejection, I see it that way. I don't mean to, and like even if I try to rationalize myself, like, oh, it's not that, it's whatever. Like it doesn't work that way. I'm like, no, it's a rejection. It's my fault. It's because I'm bad. It's because I'm like stupid and not worth anything and blah blah blah. So, but on the other hand, I really recognize and understand the bravery and strength of the birth mothers and birth fathers in situations like that where you have to choose between, you have no good option. Like, like, my birth family is kind of not the typical example of this, but like, a lot of times what happens is, a birth family doesn't have money or is in a really unstable situation where they're living or they're young or, any one of a million reasons that they feel that they couldn't provide an adequate, loving home for this child, and they want what's best for the child, so they say, here, somebody else can provide this for the child, and the child deserves this and that thing, and, like, oh my god, that must be so hard. And actually what happened was when I was 8, my parents, this is before my sister was adopted, my parents were going to adopt another baby. It was going to be a boy. And the mom actually changed her mind. Like, after he was born, she saw him and said, no, I can't give him up. And, like, that's such a strong, like, tie. And I'm so glad that she honored that. However, at the same time, my parents were totally destroyed. Like, they were brokenhearted. I was only 8, so I was kind of like, oh, okay, I don't know. And so then, when my sister was adopted, when I was 9, they didn't tell me until it was, like, for sure happening. And so I remember, I'll tell you this story. So I remember one day, it was, like, the beginning of August. It was probably about, I don't know, I think it was actually right around the 10th or so of August. And I had been at my best friend's house swimming in the backyard. And I came home, like, all wet in my swimsuit, and my mom was upstairs making the bed. And she said, hey, come up here a minute. So I went upstairs. And she's like, I want to talk to you. And so I sat on the bed in my swimsuit, and usually she'd be like, get off the bed! Like, okay, not like that, but my mom wouldn't, like, scream at me or anything, but she'd be like, get off the bed in your swimsuit! Don't get my bed wet with your swimsuit. But she didn't say that, and I was like, uh-oh, something's wrong. I'm sitting on the bed in my swimsuit, and she's not mad at me, like, uh-oh. And she said to me, well, how would you feel if we adopted a baby? And I was like, good? Because I wanted a sibling. I always wanted a sibling. And, I had been happy about the one that we were going to adopt before, but that didn't happen. And my mom was like, okay, well, we're going to adopt a baby. And I was like, okay, when? And she was like, in about 2 weeks. And I was like, what? So, in reality, it was actually earlier. In reality, I had about 10 days to get used to my sister, to the idea of my sister, and then she was born on the 20th of August, and my mom flew to Philadelphia to get her, and then they came back after a while, and it was like all of a sudden there was a baby, and it was so weird. Like, I was happy because I loved my sister, and like I still love my sister, but I remember the first morning she was there, she was like crying at 6 in the morning, and I had had a nightmare, so I was sleeping on the floor on a sleeping bag next to my dad's side of the bed, and I was like, what's that noise? And my dad was like, I think your baby sister wants some food. And I was like, oh yeah, because I forgot about her in my sleep. So anyway, but yeah, my sister agrees with me on a lot of the stuff that I mentioned before about like the trauma and stuff and the rejection thing. Well, we actually haven't really talked much about the rejection thing, but I know that she agrees with me about a lot of the stuff, like the trauma and stuff like that, although it's all, you know, it depends and stuff like that. But I'm not saying that I think adoption's a bad idea. Oh my gosh, no. I'm not saying that at all. I know that I have a much better life than, most probably, than what I would have had. And I've actually been in contact a little bit with my birth family, but that didn't go very well, so we're not going to talk about that. However, my sister is in contact with her birth family, and it's awesome, so it's really good. And I don't know, someday I think about adopting a kid and stuff. And one thing, in case you're wondering, I don't know, my dad I don't think has ever been in a video of mine, but my mom has, so you've seen her. But I don't really look like either of my parents, of course, because I'm not biologically related to them. But that never really bothered me when I was a kid. I had blonde hair, like very, very blonde hair. And they both have, my dad has like dark brown hair and brown eyes, my mom has brown hair and green eyes, and I have blonde hair and blue eyes. And when I was in elementary school, lots of times kids would ask me, how come you don't look like your parents? How come they both have brown hair and you have blonde hair? And I would just say, because I'm adopted. And it was never a secret from me that I was adopted. I've known for as long as I can remember. And it just, that never bothered me, you know, like being adopted never bothered me. But I did have lots of questions about my birth mother, and I wanted to know what her name was and what she looked like and all this stuff. And I actually found a letter that she had written to like one of the lawyers or something. And it was like, you know, a really boring letter. It was like, I can't even remember what it said, but I found it, and it was like her handwriting and everything, and I framed it and like put it on my wall because I was like, it's the only connection, I love it. And I was like 11 at the time or something like that. So anyway, it was always kind of like just this sort of abstract idea that she existed somewhere. So yeah, I think that a lot of times people that are adopted when they're kids have a lot of behavioral problems that get misunderstood. And the thing is that I didn't understand it either. When I had these like rage problems and like, you know, anger problems and all these sensitivities and like the way I would react to stuff, and people would be like, stop blowing things out of proportion, Kate, you're overreacting, Kate, calm down, Kate. But I couldn't. And like, I didn't understand it either. I didn't know what was going on. All I knew is that I felt wrong. Like something was wrong. And of course I've come to know over the years that it wasn't my fault I was adopted. I was a baby. I wasn't even born. I couldn't have done anything to be like, oh, she's bad, I don't want her. It wasn't like that. And like, I finally came to know that, but it took a long time of me being like, oh, I was defective, I was not good enough, but it wasn't like that, and I get it. But, yeah, if there's somebody, you know, in your life that's adopted, or if you are, adopted or whatever, or if you're an adoptive parent, no matter what, yay for you, no matter what, because you're watching this video, yay for you, because you care. So, yeah, and that's my opinion, really. I mean, it's just, it's hard, but it's great. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's very multifaceted, there's lots of bits and pieces, and you can do research on this. There's one called, I think, The Primal Wound is the name of the book. I have it somewhere. I can't find it. I've never actually read it, but my mom's read it, and she's like raves about it. And she understands now a whole lot better, and so does my dad. But yeah, you can probably find stuff on the internet about it, and look up also reactive attachment. What is it? Reactive attachment disorder or something like that. Because that's another problem that a lot of times kids with adoption have, is attaching, or lack of attaching to people, or they overly attach. I mean, I don't really know that much about that. I was more on the, like, unattached side, but that really just depends. So, anyway, thank you for watching this crazy video, and if you have any questions, go ahead and post them, or you can message me, or you can talk to me on Facebook, or whatever, and I will answer your questions, and if I need to make another video to answer questions, I'm happy to do so. Alright, have a great week, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!